Hosted by Tony Gapperstone. Thanks for tuning in. It's showtime.
Hey everybody, showtime. Episode 235. That's right, episode 235 of the Braidmaker podcast. My name is Tony Gapperstone. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm a Caucasian guy wearing a brown jacket and my "You Are the Story" black shirt with yellow letters, and I'm in my studio. The Braidmaker studio has pink letters with like a script kind of font with green faux wall behind me and black and white stripes. It's a lot going on, but we are a lot here at Braidmaker. I am a writer, director, and producer, and I'm the founder and executive director of Braidmaker. I love talking with creators and actors and filmmakers and directors and P.G.A, Producer Guild of America producers. That is the title of my guest. Has all these hyphenated things, which is really great. If you don't know about Braidmaker, we are a 501c3 nonprofit that really depends on creativity and generosity. I like to say that a lot. The generosity of 45 people now who give a donation every month, help us to do our work, pay for our online streaming fees, our rent, our insurance, our legal fees. It's a lot to just be a human being these days. So if you want to become one of our 45 partners, just text the word Braidmaker to 44321. It's all tax deductible. And it helps us do our Braidmaker Academy. It helps us do our monthly events like May 11th, our filmmaker and actor showcase with a taco truck. And most importantly, this year, our 6th annual film festival, which is July 11th through the 14th in Redwood City, California. We really encourage you to become a partner and patron to what we're doing, because we believe arts can create change and impact. And empowering artists to do this awesome work is, I think, some of the best ways we can spend our resources. The arts are always being threatened to go away, but we, the artists, are going to stand up and make things happen. And my guest today is a friend of mine because of the creative community. Met her through the Bay Area, now in LA, and we're partnering on a acting class that she is teaching May 18th through the 19th. But she's also acting and directing and producing, and was just on set last night, the multi-hyphenated Giovannie Espiritu.
Hey, Tony. Hey, everybody that's watching or listening to this podcast. My name is Giovannie Espiritu. I'm an actor, filmmaker, producer. I am Asian. I am short. I am in front of a green wall with a big fan in it, and I have a white sweater on. So, yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm such a supporter of Braidmaker. I love that their mission is to tell these underrepresented stories. And I've just been a fan of you from the very beginning when you were acting, too. So,
yeah, you're good people, honestly. So good to have you on again. You've been on the podcast, I think 2 times, 3 times, but we just were talking on a Zoom like a month ago. So I feel like I just talked with you. And Gio was also a filmmaker in the Film Fest last year. So Gio's in our 2023 recap video. And so it feels really cool. You definitely are a part of the Braidmaker crew and team and family. So I'm stoked to have you on today, but let's jump in and Scott, first thing, First things first, all things Giovannie Espiritu. I just was, looking at your bio yesterday, going, "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize you're in the P.G.A, which is the Producers
Yeah.
Guild of America." So, kind of wanted to start there and just talk a little bit about that journey for you, because you have been acting, then you became a director and you're producing. Just let's jump in. How'd you get into the P.G.A and what does that mean for you?
So, let's see, how did I first get into the P.G.A? I started producing actually when I was first acting, but I didn't know that it was like producing. I was
Yeah.
just like, I'm just making a film with friends, right?
Yeah.
And then in the Bay Area, I did an LGBTQ show, and I don't know if I can say it because it has a bad word in it.
Go for it. You can say it.
Okay, so it's Dyke Central, and I don't think it's a bad word, but,
Some
like a
people
lot of
do,
some
but it's
people
not.
do,
Yeah.
it's not. And I was cast on that show, did the pilot, and then I ended up associate producing 9 of the episodes, and it's on Amazon right now. So that was part of like the journey of that. And then I did an martial arts action comedy called Unlucky Stars that I helped produce, and it got distribution. So that was one of my first producing jobs. And then I applied to the P.G.A maybe about 5 years ago, but they were like, you don't have enough credits. So since then, I've done like UPM work and like produced other shorts. And then finally, they were like, okay, fine, we'll let you into the into the group. And I originally applied for the new media committee because that's where most of my work has been. I think like I've only done a couple of things that have been theatrically distributed or distributed on a streaming platform, but they actually put me into the associate producers committee, which I thought was great because that's kind of like a little bit higher. So what I am learning from it is, it's okay to be the new kid on the block. I am such like a baby producer in terms of all of the producers members that are there, and it's okay for me to just like listen and learn and ask questions. Don't be afraid of like having the stupid questions because they really do want to help you. Yeah. But yeah, it was just an application process. I got denied the first time and I was sad, but it's fine. Like I just reapplied.
Now, what, like, is it protections? Is it perks? Is it, the union, right? We hear those words all the time now because of strikes and things. What
Yeah.
would you say is the benefit for you? Is it the clout, the credit? What is it?
So, the Producers Guild of America is not a union. It is a professional, like, just a professional committee. And the benefit that I get from it is that there's all these, like, learning educational mixers that I go to. I can't do the networking thing. I am not good at that. But being able to be in these rooms where, like, for example, they have, like, the distribution arm of the WB talking, that's really fascinating to me, like to be in those spaces and to actually hear what's going on in the industry. That's what it's been a benefit for.
Awesome. Okay, so it's not a union. So
It's
really,
not a
like,
union.
the collective of connection with other producers and the learning that you get from it. And is it something that you pay dues for?
Yes, it is. It is,
Okay,
but you
you're like,
know
yes.
what? Yes, but it is less than SAG.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So
That's so great.
I feel like the way that I think about things is I think about, okay, where's the problem at? Let me try to get higher than the problem so I can see it from this arena so I can fix the problem. And I was having a lot of issues being an actor and not having a lot of things, like not a lot of roles for my type, right? So I'm like, okay, what is a step higher than that? Okay, it's writing and directing, but what's a step higher than that? Oh, okay, it's producing. Producers are the ones that I kind of put the teams together. So if I can learn at that level, then it trickles down.
I think a lot of people don't exactly know what producers do, right? There's a lot of assumptions. But sometimes when I just say this one thing, people go, oh, the people who get the trophy at the Academy Awards for Best Picture are the producers. Why? Because they do it all. They put it together. They could find financing. Sometimes they're finding the script and pairing the director. Sometimes, right? They're also the director and the writer too. But yeah, I think the producing, I mean, it's inherent in the word producing, to make, to create, to bring to life,
Yes.
to make. It's right there, but sometimes people like the idea or the concept of it because it sounds good to say you're a producer, but they don't realize how much work it is.
Yeah, it's really nurturing the story along, whether you find the concept for it, whether you put the team together, whether you find like the places to distribute it or, show it. it's the whole journey. So if you become a producer on something like an actor, you can be there on set one day and you're done with your work.
Mhm.
But from producing, like it's going to be like 2 to 3 years for a project to like see it through from the baby beginnings to like when you like go off on your own, you know.
Uh-huh. I like that perspective, just thinking about if you are somebody who likes to just check in and check out, and actors have a really hard role too.
Yeah.
So, showing up on set and doing all the work beforehand and then being present, and then, you're the face of the project and sometimes the most critiqued on a project. But a producer also being behind the scenes and like raising a child, like you're from conception to the gestation, what is that, like the 9 months of it in the utero, whatever,
Yeah.
and then the birthing and then the raising up. It is a big job, and some people are really cut out for it and some people aren't, I don't think.
And I feel like you have to be really good at like dealing with people. Like I'm an introvert, so like dealing with mass amounts of people is really hard for me, but one-on-one is really good. So you need to know like personal dynamics in that way, and then knowing who might work together well or might not, and like mediating those kinds of discussions. That also goes into producing work, which, like a lot of people don't take that into account. It's just like, oh, like I'll give you money. And some producers are just like that. Like generally executive producers are like the ones that like fund the thing. But then there's like the other producers where like your boots on set.
Mhm.
And that's kind of where because I don't have the money, like
Mhm.
I'm still looking for the money. But like I'm like the boots on ground kind of producer.
And if you are watching live or on the replay, there's a lot of photos being up from Gio's Instagram. So you can follow Giovannie at, so you have 2 different Instagrams. Which one do you like people to be following for the business?
Okay, so I have 2 because I posted something about like I wanted peace, and then I got one of my main Instagram account at Geospirit number 2 was shadow banned because I posted something about peace, which was very, very interesting. So I had to start the other one, the Giovanni.Espiritu one.
So you don't have control over the Geospirit 2 anymore?
No, I did. I had it and then it was lost and then I got it back like a month later.
Oh, I get
But
it.
I learned that, you can't upset the algorithm because it will shut you off and it will silence you.
Oh my
If you,
God.
yeah,
That is this
You
is
know?
so wild. Okay, got you. All right. Well,
yeah.
so you want people to be going to your Giovanni.Espiritu then now, because that's the new page.
That is the new page. I have both now, but just know that if you follow me on the Geospirit 2 one, I can't follow you back.
Got it.
You know?
Wild. These times.
Yeah.
We live in some wild times, y'all.
Yeah.
Which let's bring up, and Gio and I were talking a couple weeks ago, and we're going to get into some of the controversial things that a documentary on Max basically exposed about children and really disrupt what's it called? I'll say disruptive, but disappointing and discouraging and disgusting behavior and treatment, toxic treatment by people in power. We're going to talk about that today. But you also walked through a challenging situation, and I didn't check with you ahead of time. We can talk kind of generally about it. Speaking of algorithms and challenges and social media, I wondered if you wanted to comment, because I told you, and people can do their digging if they want, I told you I was very impressed with how you handled a challenging situation where somebody plucked something off of your Instagram and then did some retooling and commenting about it, and it was an interesting kind of couple of days, I know, for you. And I remember I reached out to you a couple of times. I was like, I see you, I appreciate you, I'm very much inspired by people who live their life. And I told you this before we went on air, like, you're a good person, and I know that, and a creative person, but also that doesn't always come through sometimes for people on social media. But I feel like who you are in real life is who you are on the socials, and I saw that as you dealt with a challenging situation. I don't know if you want to comment about that at all, but I'm just giving you some flowers right now.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's difficult, and like one of the things that I'm trying to like always say to myself is like, no matter like what people think of you, good or bad, is none of your business, especially in this day and age of social media. Fortunately or unfortunately, I've had this happen to me in the past where There was a YouTuber that took one of my parody songs. Like, I think like maybe you heard about this like 6 years ago, and it went viral to 3 point something million. And I didn't even know about it. I didn't know about it until it went viral, and she totally copyrighted it. So it wasn't my first rodeo on this. And what had happened in this is that there is another acting teacher slash casting associate or something that's teaching actors. And she had taken one of my clips from a TikTok and basically was like, made it into clickbait. She was like, oh, this is why. And she didn't even say she disagreed with it. She just kind of said that it was amateur-ish information, but then she said, oh, but everybody has an opinion on it. So basically what happened is that another colleague used my video to kind of like bash me and make her point. And I was just like, I don't know that we should be doing that in this day. It's already so hard to be in this industry. If you're going to uplift somebody, if you're going to use somebody's work, at least uplift them. Don't tear them down. But I feel like in this day and age, like the whole tear down culture is just getting out of control because that's what gets the clicks and views. And I was just like, can we be better than this?
Yeah.
Can we please be better than this? So that is what happened.
You were better than that, and so thank you. And even just in this little moment too, like, you know, we're not going to call anybody out or throw people under the bus. We don't need to do that, but it's just a great way to learn, you know, that we spend our time. We only have so much time, you know, and spending it to tear others down for your own benefit, or it's like, that's a waste. But yeah, so thank you for modeling that, and that's what we want our vibe and our culture to be like. Let's support each other and let's encourage and support, because it is so hard, especially now. You know, we were talking off pod here, which I want to jump in before we get into the HBO Max reflection about the state of the industry. It is a very challenging time. There's a lot of discouragement. Yes, we're out of the strikes, but there's still a lot of negative impact upon people's jobs. That, you know, there's slow hiring still. There's for writers and actors, things are constricting a little bit, and we're trying to figure out how do we move forward. And you said something interesting, I think, because you were on set last night. I don't know, you want to comment a little bit about what your perspective right now is about the state of the industry and some of the challenges that we might be facing or discouragement we're facing?
I hate thinking about discouragement. I am like super Delulu optimist, right?
I love that. Gotta be.
But yeah, like we have to face the reality of a situation where things are kind of slowing down. In my kind of, you know, writer, producer, creative group, it's like, just stay alive till 2025. Like that is the feeling, right?
I have heard that so much.
Yeah. But like, if we understand how to, you know, make things kind of fast and right, we can still create. There's never a stop to the creation. You know, we can still do that. We can still keep on telling these stories. What is happening in the industry, I don't know. You know, like a lot of people are being called out for their exploitive practices, which I think is good.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of heartbreak today because the whole Weinstein verdict was, you know, overturned.
Breaking news, if you have not heard this, we are recording this on Thursday, April 25th. And so Harvey Weinstein's rape conviction is overturned by a New York court, I believe. I don't know if it's all of it or just one of them. I don't know,
but it's going to be appealed hopefully. But when the Me Too movement started, it gave me hope, because that was one of the things that I was scared of as an actor, is going into the industry and having to face that. Because even in the Bay Area community, there has been quite a number of times where I have been put on the spot or been very, very uncomfortable in situations. So, you know, I don't know if you want to segue into like the
totally.
You know, the HBO Max documentary. But when I was teaching, I still teach kids. Like that's what I'm known for. But it was a very big priority for me to keep them safe, because there were so many things in the industry that people try to take advantage of them, because one, you know, they sell you a dream. You know, they sell you a dream, and a lot of parents and a lot of kids kind of like will do anything to get that dream. And there's also like that power play in there. So a lot of things that I was teaching the parents is like, you are your child's first protector. You have the right to be with them and have eyes and ears on them at all times. Just know that when going in, and if a director or a producer makes you feel uncomfortable, you can totally walk away, and hopefully your agents are good with that too, where they're like, like, we will back you up if your child doesn't feel comfortable with this. Don't worry about it. And also, like, another thing that I used to tell the parents is, like, these auditions, they're great, and they mean that there's a lot on them, but you need to be able to be the soft spot for your child to land on, and you need to be the first one to be like, okay, if not this one, then that's okay, you can let it go, and not hold it with such like a tight, like, you need to get this, because then the kid will, they'll feel super pressure to like do whatever is told of them.
That's really good, Gio. This the other day. So, by the way, Gio and I and a couple, 2 or 3 other people met on a Zoom, just kind of randomly. I had watched the documentary. I know Gio had watched the documentary, and I said, let's just jump on a Zoom and chat about what we learned or what we could do different, or is there something we could take away from this to help other people, kind of best practices on sets for kids. So it's called Quiet on Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV. It's on Max, the HBO streaming site. And, there was a lot of things that came to mind, but one of the things like Gio just said, for me, I work with a lot of kids. I also have kids that are in sports, that are in church groups, that are, roaming around with friends at their houses and sleepovers. And one of the things I felt like I just wanted to take away that I could practically do is, for instance, last week we had 2 kids that we brought in, 2 twins, for a little comedy scene that we were doing for one of our shorts. And the mom had never done film before, only theater. And she said, is it okay if can I come in the room? I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you asked. The answer is yes and always yes. You need to have your eyes on your kids at all time, whether it's an audition or a scene. We were doing a scene where the kids were taunting a theater director, in the wardrobe room, and they were throwing wardrobe pieces. It was really, really fun, like twins, kind of like, like the mischievous twins. But it was really cool for me because I felt empowered. I almost wanted to put my hands on her shoulders, which get consent before you touch me.
Yes.
Same thing, right?
Thank you. Yeah.
Look at people and tell them, no, you, like you just said, Gio, you have to keep your kids in earshot and eye shot when they're on set, especially when they're young. I mean, technically until they're 18 and they're adults, like, it's really your responsibility, to be able to do that. And I think what the show did on Max, the Quiet on Set, was show us that a lot of these parents were ostracized and discouraged even when they had red flags about how some of the adults were treating their kids, and that just made me incredibly sad.
Yeah, because it is a culture of silence. Like, you don't want to like rock the boat, because then you're gonna be blacklisted from the industry.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also why I'm like, please create your own things so that you don't feel like you're beholden to these people, where if you anger them or something, then that's your whole career, because that's not true.
Yeah, good point. A lot of the reasons why people feel pressure or fall into these things where they don't feel safe is because they're hoping these people in power are preying, Preying, preying on their dreams. And it's like, if you don't do this, then you're out. We'll just find somebody else and we'll replace you. And, that's a really hard thing to hear. You could be replaced and or fired, but think about this. It's not worth your body harm, your confidence, your identity being connivingly deceived or manipulated anyway. And that's why I'm so glad for things like intimacy coordinators. We're seeing the rise of that and the conversation of that. And really, like, you wonder too, aren't studio teachers, like, partly they're there too to sort of make sure kids are okay? I mean, it seems like that could be a double factor. Should there be another person on set when it comes to kids besides their family?
I mean, I feel like anybody that's going to look to kids on set, they should have the kids' welfare in mind, but I know that that's not necessarily true. There are things in place for the parents. I believe it's, I don't know. I know that for me as an acting coach, I needed to get a certain qualification from CPS. So I am fingerprinted to work with kids in the entertainment industry. And I think that's you need to have that for anybody that works with kids in California. I don't know what the statistics were, but when I first got it, like years and years ago, only like 20% of the coaches had this particular permit that you have to have. And I feel like if any kids show, if it's a kid focused show, everybody on set should have that fingerprinting, because it's just too, people. One of those people that was in that documentary, he was not necessarily a coach, he was just on set, right? Like, or he was, so, like just I don't know, like I wish that could be like a requirement across the board. And then, like, if they're a studio teacher, they have to have that permit, and hopefully they're looking out for the kid. But if there's like 20 kids on set and then one studio teacher, that's also like, how do you, but the parents have to be there. Parents have to be their child's number one protector. And then talking to your children about, like, what grooming looks like, what manipulation could look like. And sometimes people don't know. There was one child that, one teenager in my class, that she went in for an audition, and the audition was very vague and telling her to talk to like a small man, and you would never think that there was something weird about that. It was just like, oh, you're talking to a little tiny person. But yeah. And it ended up being something that was like not
gross.
Okay.
Yeah.
So red flags for parents, if we're going to talk about that, like, get your auditions from trusted sources. Sometimes even the trusted sources, you still have to be careful. Like, for example, Backstage, I feel, is good for articles, but they don't really, look at who is submitting for the job, or like who is putting the jobs out there. So you have to be careful. Actors Access is, pretty, they vet their people pretty well. And through your agents and, managers, usually that's a good place. If you're actually going for auditions, make sure that you don't have your address on your resumes or anything that you hand over to them. Like, email and telephone number should be fine. There are some weird people that want addresses, and you don't really need that these days. And anything, if you have like a weird vibe, listen to that. Like, trust your gut.
Trust your gut.
If you're in Hollywood, you can find Giovannie at HollywoodActorWorkshop.com, where she's doing her coaching. And we're going to talk about this in a couple minutes. Gio will be here in the Bay Area May 18th through the 19th to do an adult 16 and up acting intensive here in our studio in Redwood City. And we'll talk to you more about how you can sign up for that. One of the things I wanted to also say to filmmakers, right? So we were just talking about parents and things to be aware of for kids. Now, if you're a filmmaker and you are working with kids, it's also your responsibility to care about these kids as well, and overexert yourself, right, to ensure that these kids, make sure you're hiring people that are safe to be on set and having standards. So the other day when I was working with these twins, again, it was really cool to be able to, because all this stuff was fresh in my mind. And I was like, okay, I hope this sets a precedent for this mom with what she's empowered to do in the future. And I just, weirdly posted on a Facebook group for kids in the area that I knew maybe we could find these twins that we were looking for. And I said, if you want to check me out, here's me, here's my IMDb, here's my company name, and I said, and I kind of like in the parentheses, please do your research on Bravemaker and, on Instagram, all that stuff, like look that up. And it was really great when the mom came. She's like, yeah, I did all that stuff and you seem legit. I'm like, great, awesome.
Great.
And when you could do that even more, because again, if you're not getting these from a verified resource like Casting Networks or Actors Access, look at who they've worked with in the past and just quickly check those things out. But filmmakers, one thing, and I do this with my interns now because I have a bunch of high school interns that are here every week. I email their parents on a regular basis just to say, hey, this is what your students are doing, because most parents, they're busy. They don't really check in. I'm like, they don't really even know me. I'm like, you should know who I am. Know who your kids are working with. And I tell my students, I don't want the door to be closed if they're ever in here with just me. When I'm on set, my AD or our PAs, if we have kids, you should never be alone with a kid in a room without a parent or somebody else, because we want to keep them safe. And that's communicating
a sense of protection, right? And a sense of safe space for all. So those are just a few things that come to mind. If you are a filmmaker who ever works with kids, do your due diligence and set that standard for your set.
Yes. And as filmmakers and producers, you are the person that's going to set like the vibe of it, you know?
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's, oh, I was going to say, sorry, like, because this is such a culture of silence that, and I want to change that.
Yep.
It's like being open to being like having questions asked, being open to like, no, check me out. No,
That's
like
right.
I have, you know, here's my resources, here's my references.
Yeah.
I think that's important, you know, and I know it's not standard, but Tony, like giving you your flowers for like creating that. So
awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I know. And I'll just say, I have seen things happen where people like things, you know, good intentions can sort of be misconstrued sometimes. Like I'm a very huggy person. Like that's just my way, you know, like everyone's got a love language and some people like physical touch. I love hugs, but I've had to rein that in a little bit and be careful because I know not everybody is that way. So asking people permission, especially kids, not every kid wants to hug you, you know, and we shouldn't be making our kids hug uncle, grandpa, auntie, whoever, if they don't want to, because that's creating a culture that kids don't have consent over their bodies. So saying things like, you know, my kids often joke like, Dad, you didn't have consent to kiss me on the cheek. You're right. You're right. So we kind of play around with that in a way, like, do I have consent, or do you want to hug, or can I hug you? And sometimes when my kids are grouchy or it's early in the morning and they say no, I have to just deal with it and not force that, right? That's giving them agency. We want that same thing for our biological kids, but any kid that we work with, they can give you a high five or not. They don't have to. So practice that kind of stuff. I think it's really important.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Even not filmmaking, you know, family, just kids.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. Well, that was good. If you are watching and you have questions or other ideas, you know, please reach out to myself or Gio. We're pretty accessible on social media. You know, if we get enough interest, I would love to do another workshop or Zoom where we just kind of casually talk about it. But I think this is a growing need and a topic of discussion, education, and learning to, you know, exhibit those best practices so we can be better as filmmakers.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about May 18th and 19th. So Saturday and Sunday. This is coming up here in a few weeks in Redwood City, California at our studio. Gio hit me up a few months ago like, hey, we should partner. I'm like, yes, let's do it. So we have this intensive TV and film intensive. So let's talk a little bit about it, Gio. What can people expect?
Okay, so I don't know if people know necessarily who I am, what I do, but I've been coaching actors since I believe 2003, 2004. I started teaching at a couple of places in the Bay Area. Some of them, you know, so I get some of how I teach from there. But like a lot of acting teaching is like the same stuff, you know, like intentions, you know, all that stuff, making it personal to you. And then, you know, I have experience as an actor, and a lot of my students that I have coached, they've gone on to be series regulars and Emmy nominees. You know, I've coached Rosalie Chiang for Turning Red. Like I was the on-call coach for Pixar. So I have a lot of experience coaching actors. And this weekend in Redwood City is going to be actually one of my first in person for a while, you know, kind of teaching things. And I don't know if I'm going to do it again. So people come and check it out. What we're going to do is the first day is going to be focused on drama and film and TV. Probably I'm going to start with co-stars and then have you guys bring in like a scene, and then I'll give you guys a scene. So I am very, like, what I teach is very specific, and what I look for is very specific. And I'll be teaching you guys that, how I break down the scenes, and kind of like, I don't know if, like, we're definitely going to get like redos on it, but we'll see where we go. We'll see what we do with that. The second day, I'm actually known really well for sitcom work, and sitcom has a particular rhythm and timing on it that I don't think like a lot of teachers quite teach yet, you know, especially in the Bay Area. So we're going to focus on sitcom work. Disney and Nickelodeon do a lot of sitcom timing. And then if you know, like there are different levels to comedy where it's like, you know, you have SNL, like broad comedy up here. And then you have like Nickelodeon and Disney. And then you have like your regular kind of like 3-camera sitcom. And then you have your single camera sitcom. So we're going to go through that. Cool. We're going to go get in the weeds of that and like with the rhythm. And I've taught that at the SAG-AFTRA Actor Foundation for I think 3 years. So
that's so cool. This is a
uh,
cool treat and awesome
yeah.
opportunity. And I think too, what I like about this is that you are an actor yourself,
Mhm.
and you also are a director and a
Mhm.
producer. So you have expanded, and you had this long, cool history of success. I remember when I was like, this is how, when were you on? Is it ER? Like your
Yeah.
kind of first big break? I remember
Yeah.
when you kind of got picked and plucked from the Bay Area acting community. I was like, oh my gosh, there she goes. I know her. It was really cool. And so you've been acting, for quite some time, and then
Yeah.
you've kind of jumped into that other side of the camera, which is really great. So you have a lot of insight to offer actors
Oh
from both
yeah.
sides. I think is really important. You want to comment on that at all?
I mean, like they can ask me anything, any questions that they have about, acting, whatever questions they have about that, about directing, about making the transition from LA to, I mean, from San
Mhm.
Francisco to LA. They can ask me anything, and I've kind of seen it all.
Yeah.
So, like use me as a resource for that. I don't know, like what questions do you think they might have that, I can answer?
Well, I mean, everybody wants to talk about the breaking in and getting agents and representation, and you'll have a lot to say about that. But
Oh
you're
yeah.
also self-generating too, and I don't know if you want to chat about that. But I think what I also think this is cool is about the establishing of relationship.
Yeah.
All the students that will be in the class, then you're connected to. You spend 2 days together. That's some cool bonding that happens. And I'm thinking as a director, because I teach acting too. And I tell my students this too. I'm always going, okay, how can I cast this person? How
Oh,
can I connect with
totally.
them and
For
network them?
sure.
Right?
For
Yeah.
sure. I mean, I do have a couple of projects coming up. Like, then you can't ever say like that's not
Right.
a pay to play thing, because
Right.
you never
You
know.
never know.
You never know. But have I cast people that I've met through other things in my work? Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
Mhm.
I have. But you just never know.
Mhm.
And I do have there's a project coming up called Made to Shine that was just greenlit. I pitched this I pitched a 10 episode rom-com, and they kind of curtailed it back, and they said, no, do it six episodes. And I was like, okay, I'll do it in 6 episodes. So that will be coming up. And like there are smaller roles, but people would have to be in a Las Vegas local hire for that one.
Mhm.
But that's not what the point of the weekend is about. It is making a connection. It is like learning, how to approach film and TV and sitcom work.
Mhm.
So
And I think too, the conversation, you're going to make space for
oh
conversation
yeah.
with you, but also those actors too, is they get, there's a spot, go out for lunch, go hang out and talk and process and make some connections. Classes are so crucial to the development of the actor's life, and looking at it more than just like, okay, what am I going to get in this moment? That's important. I want to grow, I want to connect, but it's also like, it's a part of the marathon of being in this business is plucking yourself and investing in yourself for the long haul. Because
Yeah.
if you want to be in this business, it really takes resilience and perseverance. It's not an overnight thing.
It is not. And like I'm learning the value of community and having people kind of like pick you up when you're like,
Mhm.
this is so hard. And they're like, I'm
Mhm.
right there with you. You know what I mean? What can we do together to kind of like spur each other on, to like help each other to like get to the next, level? Like, I don't know. Do you know Jeff Francisco?
I don't.
Oh, so Jeff's somebody that I've known from the Bay Area, and like the community that you form as actors, like just going through it is awesome. Like I've known him when he's been struggling, and he was on, I don't remember the girl from Scream has a new show, but he was on that show, and he was on that plane thing with Gerard something something. But
Mhm.
I've seen him grow, and like it's interesting watching your people and seeing the ups and
Yeah.
downs, and how it's never like a straight line. You guys, this is not a straight line business. This is like a ups and downs and curly cues and everywhere, and who knows where you're going to get your first gig from, like, but what are the steps that you take to even put yourself to get through that opportunity?
Yeah.
That is also stuff that I'll be talking about, my little secret things that I do, as an actor, to kind of like give myself a little bit of that heads up, like that little thing. Yeah, So they can ask me about
Giovannie, I'm so glad that we're going to be doing this. So actors, check it out. It's on our website. You can go to bravemaker.com for more information. If you want to reach out to myself, you can do Tony@bravemaker.com, or both Gio and I are obviously on Insta and the social, and you can definitely reach out to us to ask any questions.
Yeah.
We would love to see actors growing and connecting, and our Brave Maker community in its 6th year. I know Gio's a great example of this, is like, we're making stuff. We want to empower people. We want to not wait around, because there's a lot of waiting in this business, but you don't have to wait so long if you make your own stuff and take the reins of your career, because it really is. It's your business. You're the CEO of your life, of your acting business. So this is part of the stuff too, is that industry chat that we will be talking about, all the behind the scenes stuff, right? There's craft in learning how to bring characters to life, but there's also like, what do you do behind the scenes, and how do you get, buy from gig to gig? So good.
Exactly. Because, you might be a fabulous actor, but if you don't know how to market yourself in the industry, nobody's going to know.
Yep. Nobody's going to know. Huge. All right, Gio, can you hang out for a little bit and talk about your favorite thing of the week?
My favorite
Brave Faves. TV shows, films, books, songs, technology, clothing, podcast, food, and more. These are a few of our favorite people, places, and things. Brave Faves.
Okay, I'm going to go first. My favorite thing of the week, y'all. I love horror stuff. And I'm a late bloomer, meaning like I used to be really kind of scared of scary things. And I also grew up kind of like Gio talks about. She grew up in a cult, doomsday-ish cult. Mine wasn't so culty, but there was definitely some religious Christian fear overtones that would prevent me from watching things like Immaculate. Now, I love the stuff, y'all. I love it. I watched Immaculate by Sydney Sweeney, or acted by Sydney Sweeney and produced by her, 2 times in a row within 24 hours because it's so good. It's so creepy. It also deals a lot with religiosity and sort of the things that I like to poke at in my own work. And it's like a short 81 minutes. It's so good. It's on Amazon, so I rented it. You have 48 hours to watch. I watched it twice. It was so good. So that's my favorite thing of the week, Immaculate. Don't watch it if you can't handle horror and if you can't handle kind of religious iconography intermingled with blood. What's your favorite thing of the week, Gio?
Okay, so this is going to be weird. My favorite thing of the week is dehydrated orange chips.
Oh, tell me more. Where do you get these? Yes.
Does that count as my favorite thing of the week? So I am trying to get carbs out of my life right now because, okay, so this is a thing. I'm kind of like going, I was put on hold for a particular show and it was a guest star role. It was going to be a multi-episode guest star and I was put on hold for it and I was like let go, and the thing was they kind of alluded to my weight, so I was like,
come on.
Yeah, I know, but it is a thing in this industry, right? It is a thing that you have to deal with. So I'm like, okay, so what can I do? I have fallen in love with dehydrated orange chips. They give you that crunchy of the potato chip, but it's like has orange.
So are these branded? Are these, what are they called? Are they called rind? What are you getting these?
I don't know. I just found them at Sprouts and they come in like a little plastic container. Oh, wow. Yeah. Something like that, but it's really good. So that's my favorite thing of the week that I'm obsessed with. And also this new artist called Nogo Eras, who is like a really cool, like she does like hand clappy stuff in her beats. So that's my favorite things of the week.
Say her name again?
Nogo Eras, I think.
Nogo Eras. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think that's how you say her name. But now I'm going to watch Immaculate because I didn't know that it was out on Amazon because I'm very much into that religiosity stuff.
You will
and
dig
you
it.
know what I mean? Like I'm
You
very
will
much
dig it.
into that.
Text me after and tell me what made you laugh and what made you scream and go under the covers, because there's a couple things you're like, oh, that was funny, that was good. I like when horror films actually have some good humor in there too.
That's awesome. I didn't know that she produced it, so that's great.
There's a really cool story behind it. I guess it was brought to her years ago before she was on Euphoria and all that kind of stuff, right? And they couldn't get any traction. Then of course she gets on Euphoria, and now she is Sydney Sweeney. Then she came back and said, let's make it, and helped get the funding for it.
Wow.
Cool. Yeah, right?
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So good. All right, don't go away, Gio. Everybody else, thank you. You go away. No, just kidding. Don't go away, everybody else, too. I wanted to say thank you for listening and watching episode 235 with Giovannie Espiritu. Follow her and support her work. We need to band together. I'm telling you, you heard us talk about this. Business is about relationships. Don't discredit yourself from reaching out to somebody, commenting on a post, and continuing to follow. I see people who do that with me, and it boosts me. Going back to that positivity, right? We want to be positive people on social media, so do that. And if you are a person who can be generous and partner with us and our 45 other monthly donors, we need the artists to come up and lift us up and put us on their shoulders, because we have lost a bunch of corporate sponsors because big companies are budget cutting and laying off, and there's a lot of wild things happening in the economy right now. And I think the arts are always in threat of being pushed aside and removed, but we know we need them so much that we'll do whatever it takes legally to keep going and to keep creating and to keep making. So if you can help us out, let us know. I just had a really cool $5 donation come in from somebody who I know. That's not always easy to give $5 away. That means a lot when artists and actors and filmmakers say, I'm going to support you. We have some new things coming up in the new month, May 11th. We're doing an actor and director showcase Saturday night with a taco truck. You can find out all this information on our website. We have a May mixer coming up Tuesday, May 28th. And right in between that, May 18th and 19th is Gio's acting intensive comedy and drama class. Actors don't miss it. All right. And finally, July. July is our 6th annual film festival. I hope you all will come the 11th to the 14th. Tickets go on sale in May. Oh my gosh, things are coming by quick. All right. That's it. That's all we got. Thank you to our producer, Amy Cohen, our social media manager and creator, Carrie Alley, our podcast editor, Barnell Amos, and our intern, Jessica Cohen, who is our secret weapon. She's so amazing. She'll cut up little clips from this thing and put it out on our Instagram, and I just love it. I look back at those things and go, oh, cool. We have some cool people with some cool little pithy comments, and it's so great. Dropping knowledge gems in the creative industry. Gio, you're awesome.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Heck yes. Let's keep hanging out. Text me after you watch Immaculate. If you want to partner in anything else, do any kind of Zooming on best practices on set, I'm always here for you, wishing you all the luck. I think you're an awesome human being, creative person, friendly and talented. You're all the things. So keep getting it and doing your thing. And we'll see you on May 18th.
See you on May 18th.
Saturday. All right, everybody. Brave stories change the world, and you are the story. We'll see you later. Bye.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at bravemaker.org. Like, subscribe, and share. To become a monthly donor, text the word BraveMaker to 44321 or go to bravemaker.com/donate. Thanks for tuning in.